So let's talk about something that should be a gigantic scandal, but in today's corporate media climate, it's barely going to get a mention. Trump EPA chief lived in condo co-owned by top energy lobbyist's wife. Now, they will not say how much he's paying to stay there, but the landlords are lobbyists. The landlords are lobbyists, and they have business before the EPA, namely Cheniere, something, Energy, Inc., and Norfolk Southern. So, listen, it doesn't take a genius to figure out the problem with this. The problem is you have a guy who's the head of one of the most important regulatory bodies in this country, and he is corrupted by the people he's in bed with. So when you're going to the same parties as these lobbyists, as the owners of these energy companies and the elites at the top of these companies, and it turns out that the fucking condo you live in is co-owned by a top energy lobbyist wife, you know what that means? That means you are going to do their bidding. Now, it could mean you're going to do their bidding for corrupt reasons, for financial gain, or it could mean you're going to do their bidding because you just happen to ideologically agree with them and you run in those circles for a fucking reason. Or it could be both those things. They could be intertwined, interlinked. But at the end of the day, we know this. The guy who's the head of the Environmental Protection Agency doesn't give a shit about environmental protection. He cares about looking after his buddies and their financial interests and promoting an ideology that says, hey, businesses should be able to do whatever the fuck they want, and the EPA's job should be as little as possible, do as little as possible, and sometimes even push us in the wrong direction 1,000 miles an hour. So just remember, guys, all you really need to know about this guy, Scott Pruitt, is he's the head of the EPA. He thinks climate change is a hoax. Case closed. Strike one, you're out. There's no 2 or 3, you're just done. So he thinks climate change is a hoax. And by the way, he's taken over $300,000 from energy companies. He sued the EPA a dozen times. This was before he became the head of the EPA. So the old Republican trick is you appoint people to lead an agency who fundamentally do not believe in that agency. And then instead of writing on paper, hey, we're abolishing the EPA and we're totally getting rid of it, because that would cause a scandal. But, oh my goodness, they're getting rid of it. That seems extreme. But you don't have to do that. You're quiet about it. You just appoint somebody who doesn't believe in the mission of the agency, and then they handcuff the agency, and then it's like you have no EPA, even though on paper we have an EPA, and corporate media is fucking asleep at the wheel. Again, here are the scandals. You want to talk about scandals? Instead of talking about Stormy Daniels and what Donald Trump is doing with that little Cheeto dick of his, why don't we talk about this? Why don't we talk about, because here's where your life is really affected. Your life is really affected by this. Because these guys look the other way, is now there's thousands of toxic chemicals that are allowed to be released that weren't allowed before. You don't think that has an impact? You don't think that affects cancer rates? You don't think that affects the purity of your drinking water? Yes, it does. It 100% does, but they're not talking about it. Because, I don't know, it's wonky, and you gotta fucking trace the lines and say, oh, he knows the people who are the lobbyists, and we're inferring that maybe he's doing what they want, but not, I mean, really, do we know that for sure? Why can't we just talk about the Cheeto dick of the fucking bulbous president? Why can't we do that? He had sex with a porn star. Let's talk about that for an hour and a half. Okay. It's just, I'm depressed. This depresses me. Depresses me to no end. This is a real scandal, in and out of the news, like nothing ever happened, and we churn right along with the non-existent EPA.